This is Miss Boo.
In the kitchen, we never used real names for customers. In a busy restaurant, people become patterns instead of people. Table 12 was the bad tipper. Booth 3 was the anniversary couple that fought every Friday night. And the man in the back corner booth, we called him the Bear. He was enormous, easily 400 pounds, maybe more, with these massive shoulders that made the leather booth look too small for him. Every single night, at exactly 7 o'clock, he walked into Saint Laurent Brasserie wearing the same dark winter coat and took the same booth in the very back of the restaurant. Booth 7, always booth 7. It was tucked behind a frosted glass divider near the emergency fire exit, hidden enough that most customers barely noticed him sitting there. From the server station, all you could usually see was the faint glow of his tablet and the top of his bald head above the booth. He ordered the exact same thing every night, too. French onion soup, steak and fries, garlic bread, 3 dark beers. Never changed the order once. Honestly, we loved him. Every server did. He never complained, never asked for substitutions, never needed anything. You dropped off the food, he nodded once, and that was it for the next 3 hours. Every night from 7 until 10, he'd sit there eating, watching something on his tablet, occasionally laughing softly to himself. Then, at exactly 10 o'clock, he'd walk to the register, pay cash, leave a massive tip, and disappear into the night. Looking back now, I think that routine was the reason nobody ever questioned him. Human beings trust routines. If somebody repeats the same harmless behavior long enough, your brain eventually stops seeing them as a threat entirely. Last winter, a brutal snowstorm hit Montreal so badly the streets looked abandoned. By 8:30, the restaurant was completely empty, except for him. Since there were no other customers left, I figured I'd refill his water before we started closing early. I grabbed a pitcher and walked toward booth 7. The second I rounded the frosted divider, something felt wrong. The food was untouched, completely untouched. The steak had gone cold enough for the fat to turn pale and solid. The soup hadn't even been stirred, but the strange part was, the booth still looked occupied. The tablet was glowing exactly where his face should have been. I stepped closer, slowly, my stomach tightening before my brain even understood why. Then I realized what I was looking at. The tablet wasn't playing a movie, it was playing a recording of him sitting there. A perfect loop, him chewing slowly, blinking, reaching for his drink, wiping his mouth. From a distance, especially behind the frosted divider, it looked completely real. Hidden beside the tablet underneath a folded napkin was a small Bluetooth speaker quietly looping sounds of silverware scraping plates and heavy breathing. I just stood there staring at it because suddenly every single detail about him made sense. The giant meals, the isolated booth, the exact same schedule every night, and most importantly, the fire exit directly beside the table leading into the alleyways behind the restaurant. He'd built himself the perfect alibi. For months, maybe years. If police ever questioned us, every employee in the building would swear that huge man sat in booth 7 every single night without moving. Then I heard the fire exit handle slowly turning behind me. The heavy metal door creaked open, and freezing air rolled across the floor. He stepped back inside, covered in snow. His boots were soaked with black slush from the alley. He was breathing heavily, not from eating, from exertion. In one hand, he held an old rag stained with something dark and wet. He stopped moving the second he saw me standing there beside the booth. For a few seconds, neither of us said anything. The only sound in the entire restaurant was the fake recording of silverware clinking softly from the speaker. Then he looked at the tablet, then at me, and he didn't panic. That's the part that still keeps me awake at night. He stayed perfectly calm. Slowly, he removed his gloves and folded them carefully into his pocket before reaching inside his coat and pulling out a crisp $100 bill. He placed it beside the cold, untouched steak. Then he looked directly into my eyes for the first time since I'd known him. His eyes were empty, not angry, not nervous, just completely dead. "I've been sitting here enjoying my dinner for the last 2 hours," he said softly. "Right?" I couldn't speak. I just stared at the dark stains soaking through the rag in his hand. Then I nodded, slowly. He smiled a little after that. Not a happy smile, more like relief. Then he picked up the tablet, turned off the speaker, and walked calmly through the front entrance into the blizzard, like nothing had happened. I quit the next morning. I stopped watching local news entirely because I didn't want to know what he'd been doing out there in the dark every night, while we all thought he was eating dinner. But sometimes when I can't sleep, I still think about the timing. 7 until 10, every single night. 3 hours is a very long time for someone like that to disappear into a city unnoticed. And the worst part is, I think he knew from the beginning that eventually somebody would catch him. He just wanted to find out who was willing to lie for him.
My boyfriend used to save my life almost every day. I know how insane that sounds, but it's true. Not in a superhero way. He couldn't fly or stop bullets or anything stupid like that. He just always knew. Every accident, every tiny thing that could hurt me, he always reacted before it happened, like he was reading from a script nobody else could see. His name was Rowan. Everybody loved him. He was one of those people who could walk into a room and instantly become the center of it without even trying. Teachers loved him. Old people adored him. Little kids followed him around like he was some Disney prince. Even 5 years after high school, people still talked about him like he was special. Sometimes I'd catch strangers smiling at him for no reason while we walked through town together. He'd dance with me in grocery store aisles, kiss my forehead in crosswalks, random stuff like that. He made life feel cinematic. Looking back now, I think that was the first warning sign. Nothing around him ever felt natural. It felt staged, like moments were happening because they were supposed to happen. Last month, we were walking through the town square drinking milkshakes when a piano fell from a 4th-floor apartment window directly above me. I'm serious, a fucking piano. One second, I was laughing at something Rowan said, and the next second, he was grabbing my arm and throwing me sideways hard enough to scrape skin off my palms. The piano exploded against the pavement, exactly where I'd been standing. People screamed. Someone started crying. Rowan just pulled me against his chest, laughing breathlessly like we'd barely avoided spilling coffee. "What would you do without me?" he joked. The weird part was, he hadn't looked surprised, not even slightly. He reacted before the piano even started falling, like he already knew it was coming. That night, I asked him about it while we were watching TV in my apartment. "Do you think I'm cursed?" I asked quietly. Rowan laughed and pulled me into his lap. "Maybe you pissed off a witch." I shoved him jokingly, but something about him felt different, distracted, like only part of him was actually there with me. Then he kissed me softly and pressed his forehead against mine. "I'm your knight in shining armor, Mara." The way he said it sounded rehearsed somehow, like he'd practiced it before saying it out loud. Things got stranger after that. Rowan started asking me bizarre questions at random moments, questions that didn't fit the conversation at all. The first time happened while we were making out on my couch. He suddenly grabbed my wrists gently and asked, "Do you think I respect women?" I remember laughing because the question was so weird. "What? Do you think I respect women?" he repeated, smiling too hard. His eyes looked unfocused for a second, like he was listening to someone speaking far away. I told him yes, obviously, and he immediately relaxed, like I'd answered correctly on a test. But then he kept asking, at dinner, during movies, in bed, sometimes completely out of nowhere, "Do you think I respect women?" Every single time, his expression changed while he waited for my answer, like he was nervous about something invisible standing behind me. Then the glitches started. Sometimes he'd freeze in the middle of sentences for several seconds. Once, I watched him smile at me without blinking for almost a full minute while his eyes watered. Another time, he repeated the same laugh 3 times identically, exactly identically. Same pitch, same breath, same pause afterward, like audio replaying. I started feeling afraid around him, but I couldn't explain why. Then last night, I woke up around 2 in the morning and heard him downstairs talking loudly. At first, I thought he was on the phone, but when I walked into the living room, Rowan was completely alone, sitting on my couch, staring at nothing. "Who are you talking to?" I asked. Slowly, his head turned toward me. He smiled immediately, but it looked delayed somehow, like his face loaded the expression a second too late. "They wanted me to be your superhero at first," he said casually. "Like saving you from accidents and romantic shit." My stomach dropped. "What?" Rowan stood up too quickly. His movement suddenly looked jerky and unnatural, almost puppet-like. "The audience loved the boyfriend arc," he muttered, pacing now. "Protective boyfriend, golden retriever energy. Women eat that shit up, apparently." "Rowan, you're scaring me." "Oh my god, see?" he snapped suddenly, throwing his hands up. "That's exactly what chat says too. Constantly emotional, constant validation, constant reassurance." His voice kept changing tone mid-sentence, like multiple personalities talking through the same mouth. He grabbed a glass paperweight from my coffee table and started tossing it between his hands. "Do I respect women? Should he be sweeter? Should he be darker? Should he be toxic? Should he apologize more? They can't make up their fucking minds!" I stumbled backward toward the stairs. Rowan's eye twitched violently. For half a second, I saw something beneath his pupil. Not human, something metallic, like a camera lens adjusting focus. Then he smiled again. "Pulse live chat." He tilted his head, listening to something I couldn't hear. "Do I kiss her?" He stepped closer slowly. "Or kill her?" Then his expression changed again, instantly soft, instantly loving, like someone had pressed a button. He dropped the paperweight and reached for my face gently. "Oh," he whispered sadly. "They picked kiss." He touched my cheek softly. "You got lucky this episode."
The second I turned 18, my body started dying. I know that sounds impossible, but by midnight my hands already looked 20 years older, veins pushing through my skin, wrinkles spreading across my fingers, while I sat alone outside a nightclub in downtown LA, holding a shard of broken glass in one hand. Around me, college kids screamed and laughed like normal people. One drunk guy threw a cup that bounced off my head and barely even noticed me sitting there. Then midnight hit. My phone changed to 12 a.m., and suddenly I could feel my skin tightening across my bones, aging fast. I ripped off my hoodie and stood up in this silk dress I loved more than anything. A man bought it for me in Florence a very long time ago, back when I still thought I was human. I pushed through the crowd toward the club entrance. The security guard stopped me immediately. "No minors." I handed him my ID. I just turned 18. He stared at the card too long. Then his face changed. "You're 103 years old," he whispered. He still let me inside. In the bathroom, 2 teenage girls were doing coke off a ripped magazine page, while I locked myself in a stall and dug a tracking device out from underneath my skin using the glass shard. I could already feel my face sagging while blood ran down my wrist into the toilet. Then my phone rang. It was Eli, crying, panicking. He sounded younger already too. "They found me," he whispered. "I found my wife's grave and now they're coming." I asked where he was. He started sobbing harder. "I can't remember how to drive anymore." That's when I realized what was happening to us. Every year after 18, we age rapidly. If they don't reset us in time, our minds begin collapsing too. I ran out of the club while people stared at me in disgust. One guy called me an old bitch, while another swore he recognized my face from some children's TV show. By the time I reached my car, my hands looked ancient. My cheeks were sagging, teeth loosening inside my gums. But honestly, for the first time in decades, I felt free. I drove to Eli's house hoping we could run, but when I got there, he was already gone. Curled beside the swimming pool was a terrified little boy drowning inside an oversized, bloody suit. Then I heard her voice behind me, calm, sweet, my manager. "Sweetheart," she sighed. "What did I tell you about reporting to me the second you turn 18? She held up a syringe filled with glowing blue liquid. I tried to run, but my knees gave out beneath me. She caught me gently before I hit the ground and pushed the needle into my neck. The pain was unbearable. My skin started peeling off in strips, bones snapping inward, my body shrinking. I could feel my adult teeth loosening while new, smaller teeth pushed through underneath. My dress slipped off my shoulders as my entire body folded back into childhood. My manager just smiled and stroked my hair while I cried. There she is, she whispered, our beautiful little star. She pulled a child-sized hoodie over my head and nodded toward Eli. He was already 12 years old again, sobbing quietly into his knees. Then she checked her watch. Get some sleep, kids, she said. You both have filming tomorrow.
If this story gave you chills, don't forget to subscribe, because the next one might be even worse.